Hello friends and welcome to week 12 of Hero Academy Live. This is Elagatua and we've got some awesome content for you today. We will be going over the Duck Soup Gaming tournament finals between myself and TB Kesk. Got hopefully the end of the Monkey Warlock game, although I keep telling everybody that it's going to end and it just keeps on going forever and ever, so we'll see. But we'll have some turns from that at least, and then we'll have some of the regular games going on. So should be a good day. Sorry about the delay getting everything started up. My internet decided that it was going to stop working about 15 minutes before the normal starting time. So that was a little frustrating, but fortunately it seems to have healed itself to some degree. So we're live and kicking. So without further ado, let's get into the action here. So for those of you who haven't followed the tournament through either the Hero Academy forums or on ducksoupgaming.com, this tournament was a 12-person round robin in the first stage, and me and TB Kesk ended up going 11-0 and 10-1. Not respectively. He went 11-0 and I went 10-1. I played Shaolin in every single match and ran against TB Kesk's Team Fortress, who reamed me in the group stage. So for the finals, he wanted to play Team Fortress again, and so I decided that instead of playing Shaolin, we'd go with our best squads on each side. So I went with Tribe, and he went with Team Fortress, and this match concluded this week. And so I've been taking screenshots of every turn from the beginning, so that we can, whenever anybody hosts a tournament, we can record the finals and archive them for its posterity, for the glory of the effort that it takes to organize these tournaments. So big thanks to ducksoup.com, or ducksoupgaming.com, excuse me, for hosting this tournament. It's always great to have people interested in the game, and it's a good thing for the community. So really appreciate it to those guys for setting this thing up. And let's get into the game. So let's see. I've got my this is the first screenshot. Unfortunately, I didn't take one before I placed this turn on the board, but in this map, this is the speed map. It's the Shaolin map, but I call it the speed map. And the reason I call it the speed map is because it's got the speed tile there, the movement boost tile. And any unit on this tile here, their next move gets +2 to their movement speed. So it's almost like you get a free sandwich essentially on that tile and any unit staying there. So if my axe thrower is on this tile, then he can move anywhere behind this line, or well, like he can't move on the deploy tile, but he can cover like all this area here. So so naturally, against a squad that has fragile healing and a low quantity of healing, controlling this tile is going to be really important against Team Fortress. There's very few spaces on the board where a medic is safe if you're able to control this tile with an axe thrower or even a warrior. So so that's why I'm bringing my axe thrower out to this square. I want to make sure that, first of all, he can't get any units on here, like a spy especially, is the most dangerous thing to have him get on there. But also, if he gets like a pyro or a soldier, it only takes one move to move directly up to this attack tile. So it's really, really important that I lock this down. It's almost actually more important that you lock this tile down than the sword tile, because as soon as you own this tile here and you have this locked down, it's really hard to gain access to this without this. So that's really my plan, and then I also deploy a witch here, which will threaten to take control of this attack tile, and also just deter any units from coming out here because it'd be an easy KO from range. So let's move on to the next round. So TB Kesk puts out 2 spies and a sniper. So snipers are really good on the attack tile because they get 200 attack per shot, and that's not including the 250 damage bonus that they get for their first shot of the round, assuming they have not been hit the previous round. So getting snipers on attack tiles, if you can protect them, can be extremely dangerous. And if they're upgraded, they get 260 damage, which is basically enough to 4-shot or 3-shot, depending on the HP, basically any tribe unit. But on this map, it's pretty tough to keep a sniper alive this far out on the board because they are pretty fragile. So really, the main threat here is the spies. If you will let a Team Fortress player get a spy on this square here, it's very, very hard to defend your units. You really get forced into a corner, and if you can't establish yourself on the board, then your opponent could take this tile here, or they can take this tile here and grab your back crystal. And you do see a lot of crystal kills in this map. So that is what I think he's going after here. He wants to make sure that I don't get this square with my axe thrower, and also establish a lot of board presence because I'm gonna have to be very careful with how I advance. I gotta protect the backside of my units, otherwise they're easy pickings for the spy to take out, stomp, and run away with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sword up my axe thrower. Now, in Tribe versus Team Fortress, there's really 2 or 3 units that you want to sword, potentially, depending on the situation. And the choices that you make when you decide what units to sword has a lot to do with how the game's going to progress. So there's 3 choices that you have, in my opinion. You can sword the axe throwers, and the reason you'd want to sword the axe throwers is because when the axe throwers are sorted, the first attack does 500 damage, and the second attack does 200 damage, and you add those together, that's 800 damage. And the majority of Team Fortress units, basically every Team Fortress unit except for the heavy, will get 2-shot by a sorted axe thrower, which makes it really, really powerful. It's very, very efficient to KO units with a sorted axe thrower. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you can sword your chieftains, and your goal then, if you're sorting the chieftains, is, especially if there's any sword tiles in the middle of the map, like on this map, get your chieftain on there, tidal wave units within range of the chieftain, attack, which will draw more units in with because he sucks units closer to him, and then do a meat attack, and you'll blow up all the units adjacent to the chieftain. So that can be a really powerful way to play. And generally, you can't go wrong sorting your chieftains. It's pretty much a safe bet. If you're not sure how you want to play it, and you've got chieftains lying around, and you've got swords lying around, sword your chieftains. Generally works out. The third option you have is you can sword the witch. And this is more for a chippy type of strategy where you kind of stay out of range, stay farther back, but use the witch to move in, attack 3 times, and then corpse explode whatever unit was nearby. It's not my favorite choice. It's probably my least favorite of the 3. But you can also meet a sorted witch, and that will generally one-shot any Team Fortress unit, because again, you're getting over that 800 HP mark. But you also will burn through your meats pretty quickly that way. It's also not very effective against spies, and since both spies are out on the board right now, that's the least appealing of the options. So I put the sword in my axe thrower. I also shield him. And the reason that I shield him is that brings his HP up to, I can't draw with this white thingy. Brings his HP up to 880. And the spies, if they're behind your unit, will do 800 damage. And so what this means is that it's going to take an extra AP to kill this axe thrower from a spy until they get upgraded. But there's no engineers on the board, so I'm not really worried about that yet. It's going to make him a lot more hardy, and if I want to move him onto the attack, then he's going to be a lot easier to defend because it's going to take it's going to take another extra AP to kill him, and so that means it makes there be a lot less situations where he's going to actually be threatened. So it's a defensive move and it's an offensive move because now I can two-shot these spies and hopefully take some spies off the board early on. It's always something you want to do. Spies are one of the most dangerous units that Team Fortress has. Since they're on the board early with not much to back them up, I'm going to feel really good if I'm able to take one of them or take even both of them off the board early on. And, oops, I kind of skipped ahead. I drew a warrior, and then another tidal wave and another meat. So not particularly amazing, but I've got the essentials out. And so what TB does is he brings out the engineer, upgrades both spies, and then moves him forward here. Now that is a strange move. That's a strange move. He's basically suiciding that engineer. That seems ridiculous. Why would you want to suicide your engineer? That doesn't make any sense. Normally. But TB Cass is a good player. I know he's not being dumb. So if that's the case, then why the heck would you do that? What can we infer from this strange move? Now, Team Fortress is a squad that relies on getting large numbers of units on the board very quickly because their hand is almost all units. But what I'm expecting, or what this means, is he only deployed one unit. And he probably would have deployed more units if he had more units. So what this tells us is that he's got his hand gummed up with a lot of respawn tokens, Giratis, or sandwiches. And he basically only has one unit in his hand. So he's got a really bad draw. He's been very unlucky. So this is good information because this means that I can be really aggressive. If he's got a really bad hand, then I want to punish him for it and exploit the maximum amount of advantage that I can get out of it because he was unlucky. I don't think this was his best move. He's kind of buying time. I feel like it would have been better for him if he had deployed the engineer, buffed these two guys, moved the engineer here, and then moved the spy here. I think that would have been okay. Instead, he's going to give away his engineer early, and admittedly, he has upgraded both of his spies, which are basically the only unit that you need to upgrade in this matchup. The way the math works, spies tend to be the one you get the most value out of when you upgrade them in this matchup. But if he has any medics later on, he's not going to be able to upgrade them unless he draws his other engineer. So he's taking a big risk by throwing him out there, because what if his other engineer is buried later on? Like, his healing's going to be weak like the entire game, in all likelihood. So I understand like the desperation to like buy time for more units later on, but I think trying to play it defensively and wait it out that way, or doing something like sandwiching one of these spies to burn a card, could have been a better option. I don't think it was really too necessary to sacrifice this guy at this point of the game. There wasn't any immediate threat that I was forcing on the board at this stage of the game. Anyway, so now it's my move. He's offered me an engineer, so I will take it. I also leave him. I leave him KO'd here. This does a few things for me. First of all, I deploy this warrior, so that gets another unit on the board, and it turns another card. So that's a good thing. I also two-shot the engineer, so it's a very efficient way to deal with him. And I get another square. I get another square closer, and so this is now going to start threatening this spy as well. So I'm doing damage. I'm increasing my position, and I'm threatening his units and forcing a response out of him. So this move accomplishes a lot for me. And if he's gonna give up units for free, then I have to take them. And we'll see how his draw does from here on, since I know he's in trouble already. And I draw an axe thrower. Okay, so he brings the spy up here. He brings a pyro from here and then to here. And then he also has the heavy here. So it's clear that he's gotten some more units out on the board, and he's just trying to develop. These are a lot of powerful units. However, I still don't see a medic anywhere. And both of these deploy tiles are blocked. So if I KO something, it's going to be very unlikely that he's going to be able to get a medic out and revive it. So if I can come up with some brilliant way to pick off one of these units, that may be a really good thing for me. Because he's not going to be able to punish me for it, necessarily. And these spies are really scary. And this one is exposed. One of the interesting quirks of the tidal wave is that you can't bring the second row forward. For some reason, these two rows are like linked together. The two back rows are linked together. So you can't bring this row forward and leave this row back. It's the only row in the game on either side that's the case, and I think it might just be like a programming quirk. But this row, I can bring everything forward and have these guys go back with the tidal wave, and that'll bring this spy up here. It'll also push this pyro back, so you'll have to burn another AP bringing him forward. So I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So what I did is I tidal waved, I brought the spy forward, I moved the X-Thrower here, I attacked twice on him, and then I moved back down to protect myself from the other spy. And the general rule for when do you trade out tidal waves and meats for enemy units is, generally speaking, if you can go 1 for 1, as in 1 tidal wave for 1 enemy unit, or 1 meat for 1 enemy unit, most of the time, that's good. Almost never spend 2 tidal waves, or I'm sorry, a tidal wave and a meat for a single enemy unit. That's inefficient, and you'll run out of stuff quickly. But if you're trading 1 item for 1 item, especially for high value units like a spy that's upgraded no less, or like a respawn token, something forcing him to burn a respawn token, then down the road that's going to be a good trade for you. So that's how I choose to play this here. And even if he respawns this spy, he doesn't have that engineer because he sacrificed him earlier, and spies benefit in this matchup tremendously from engineers. So even if he puts that spy back out on the board, it's not going to be nearly as threatening because it won't be able to be upgraded until he draws his second engineer, and who knows where in the deck that's going to be. He's got a lot of units to burn through potentially before he gets that. and so that's a big downside of that. So I'm getting a lot out of this move for just the cost of my 1 unit, and I'm not even sacrificing anything. So he respawns that spy, which I think is reasonable. Spies are good. And he brings a bunch of units forward. So this is, again, very defensive play. Like, he's bringing his heavy up. He brought his pyro back up. His spies now over here. And he's cleared his deploy tile with the sniper. But he's not venturing far out on the map. And typically, he's kind of playing like he's scared of my units doing damage. And so I'm inferring from this that he doesn't have any medic. Like he's not playing like a confident offensive style, so that it makes me feel like he's fishing for the medics. Like he doesn't have anything to prop up this force here. So even without like knowing what he has, I kind of know what he has. Or in this case, I know what he doesn't have. I'm guessing he doesn't have any medics, because he'd be a lot more confident with his units, and he'd be willing to threaten me and venture these units out further if he had some recourse if I were to KO one of these units. Let's see. I think that might be all to talk about there. So what I'm going to do is I see this guy exposed, and since he's here, let's assume that he has a medic, that TB Catch has a medic. Deploys the medic, moves here, heal, and then moves and attacks the warrior. If he does that, then I'm still going to get the spy next turn with the axe thrower. Like, I can move up. The other thing that could happen is he could respawn him, but if he does that, then he's out of respawn tokens, which is actually a really, really big deal. If he runs out of respawn tokens, he'll have to babysit his medics really, really carefully later on, because if they die, then they're gone, and all of a sudden you can't heal your units, and you can just be chipped down by long range attacks. So really, I want to trade the warrior for the spy. That's a good trade for me. Any day of the week, a warrior for a spy is a great trade. Spies are so dangerous, and warriors are clunky, and all of Team Fortress's best units are magic damage anyway, so the warrior's physical resist doesn't really do that much. So it's a good trade for me to initiate, and I'm taking advantage of this the speed tile. And keep in mind that this this shield upgrade on this axe thrower here is protecting me from this spy, because the spy is not upgraded. So if he goes 1, 1, 2, 3, and then attacks my axe thrower, if the axe thrower didn't have the shield, he could take out my sorted unit and stomp him, and that'd be really good for him. But because the spy is no longer upgraded, and because my axe thrower has the spike shield, he's safe, and that allows me to use this unit in this manner without having to worry about covering my back in this square. So it's little things that have added up here, and sacking that engineer, that have allowed me to make a favorable trade a few turns later. So he responds by jarring the axe thrower, and I think I missed a screenshot in here. Apologies, but we'll just kind of hold off here. So this is kind of halfway through my turn, but what he does is he lets the spy die. So he didn't even try and save him. So I'm now like totally sure he doesn't have any medics, because he could have at least gotten the warrior in exchange for You could have gotten the warrior in exchange for the spy, but instead he actually just KO'd the warrior. So he KO'd him with the pyro in 3 shots, and then he deployed the demo man, and I have no idea what he did with the last AP. It's a little confusing. So what I'm gonna do is I got my warrior here, or at least before this turn started I did, and I've got my axe thrower who's jarred. So I'm gonna move him up here, and this will allow me to link up with the medic. I'm sorry, the shaman, and I can bounce a heal here, and bring him back to life. Now, obviously, this warrior is kind of deep in enemy territory, so I know he's going to die, but the reason that I want him to come back to life is because I want to force TB Cask to stomp him and give me rage. So as long as I can keep chain healing this warrior, even if it's just back to 100 life, eventually I'm going to put TB Cask in a position where he's got to do something about this warrior. Otherwise, I'm just going to wreak havoc on his army until he stomps me, and then I'll get my rage, and I'll be able to use that offensively down the line. It's very important that, as Tribe, you really force your opponent to stomp your units. The rage makes a lot easier, especially when you combine the rage with the meat, or with sorted units. You can kill things very quickly, and it allows you to trade 1 for 1, or trade for powerful or powerful units where otherwise you couldn't. And so I'm left with a little tricky situation here. I've got this axe thrower Gerardied, so he's basically gonna die at some point, and that's fine because I've got 3 swords and he's only got 2 Gerardies. So this just kind of how it goes. Like you're gonna lose your sword. Your powerful units are gonna die if they Gerardi them, almost always. So you just kind of have to accept the fact that that's gonna happen. And the challenge is, now that he's Gerardied, I can suicide him because he's gonna die anyway. So I might as well take as many enemy units with me as I can. But I also want to get something done with this warrior. So I'm going to exploit a little trick with the warrior, and I'm going to move him here. I'm going to meet him so that it heals most of his life back, and then I'm just going to attack the heavy once. The heavy has 1100 HP. A meated unit that does 200 damage has its attack raise to 550. And if you do the math, $1,100 minus 550 is 550. Now, the special ability of the warrior is that it will automatically KO any unit that is equal to or less than 50% health. And if a heavy is at 550 health, it is equal to 50% of its health. So this means that I will be able to one-shot this heavy next turn with this warrior. And this puts him in a predicament, because now he's got 2 units. He wants to kill this axe thrower, and now he needs to kill this warrior, otherwise he's going to lose his heavy. So I've created 2 threats, and he doesn't have enough AP to deal with them both. So he kind of has to pick his poison. Either kill the axe thrower and take him off the board, and then lose his heavy next turn to my warrior, or kill the warrior, but then my axe thrower is going to run in and suicide himself and probably kill the pyro or something else. So I'm going to get a unit of his out of the Gerardi. And this warrior was already traded for a spy, so I'm already trading efficiently here. So I'm just getting more values out of these units. I'm getting an extra unit in exchange for these 2 guys, which unfortunately have been doomed to die. But I'm going to take another unit down to the grave with them. So, here's what happens. He moves the pyro forward, 2 shots, the axe thrower, stomps him, moves the heavy down, and then sandwiches him. Now this is an interesting counter. My units have rage, which is good. That pyro is like way the heck across the board and gonna die. So that's pretty cool. I could bring back my warrior and kill the pyro, or I could just take him down with the witch. Either would work totally fine. But that heavy has a sandwich now, so it's actually a higher value target than the pyro. But the problem is that this pyro is now threatening my my shaman, and if he can kill that shaman, then he could Jarate my other shaman later on and bring me down to 1 potentially. So I really can't afford to be giving away any shamans for free. You can trade your shamans away later game if you have an advantage. You can't trade them away in the earlier mid game. They're just too valuable, and Tribe falls apart when they don't have their shamans available to them. They just really can't do anything. You can just chip them away, and Tribe becomes very impotent. So I still want to get this heavy though, and I believe he's got 1050 HP. Because you can see the little sliver of life on this health bar here. So 1050 minus 300, because my warrior's raged, minus another 200, 550, and that's the magic number for the warrior. So I can move him down, and I can attack 3 times, and this heavy will be KO'd. Okay, so my warrior will be here, and if he has a medic, he can't, he needs to move, place the medic, and then heal the heavy. So that's 3 AP. So he can't actually save this heavy. He doesn't have enough AP, because he'd have to kill the warrior and revive the heavy. So he's going to lose the sandwich no matter what. And that's a good thing. And I'm left with 1 AP left for this turn, because I've moved down, and I've spent 3 AP attacking this heavy. So now I've got 1 left. What do I do with this 1 AP? I move the shaman back. Now, why do I move the shaman back? I need to protect him from the pyro. And so what this does is the pyro can go here, here, or here, and basically take 3 shots at this shaman and KO him, but he won't be able to stomp. And that's important, because I know that I have this other shaman in my hand. And if he decides to do that, I can, let's see, I had this worked out somehow. Oh, right, this pyro is at like roughly 500 HP. If he decides that he's gonna just give up on the heavy, give up on the warrior, whatever, forget about it, forget these guys, and you're just gonna go after him, then I can put the shaman here, my second shaman, move down, heal my shaman back up, and then use the meat, which will, 1, heal my first shaman, but it'll also do enough damage that I can KO this pyro. And yeah, I'll have to burn a meat for it, but I'll get his pyro for free, and he won't even get this shaman. So I know that he, by moving the shaman back here, I have the cards to be safe, even if he tries to make a risky play and KO my shaman. And sometimes against Tribe, you'll see people play very aggressively and try to go after the Shamans, hoping that the Tribe player won't have drawn his second or won't have drawn his third Shaman. And it's often a good idea to hold them in reserve for that reason. You can kind of encourage people to take risks, and you know that if they take that risk, they're going to end up losing. But instead, he sandwiches. Oops, I need to clear that everybody. He sandwiches the Pyro there to heal him, and he moves back, and then he three shots this warrior here. So he's going to save the Pyro, and he's going to play defensively, basically. Get rid of that warrior. There's no way I can heal it at this point, unfortunately. He's just too far away. So I'm going to have to I'm not going to be able to get rage from him stomping that warrior, but, you know, it couldn't be helped. He killed the heavy. He did his job, and he got a sandwich out of it. In fact, he got 2 sandwiches out of it because the Pyro had to use the second sandwich to get back here. It's kind of a wasted sandwich a little bit, and normally you wouldn't do something like that. But again, TB Kesk is not a bad player, so I'm guessing that the reason he's doing that is because he's desperate to turn more cards. I'm guessing that he still doesn't have any medics, because that's just how he's playing. He's playing like he needs to desperately turn cards, even at the expense of using good offensive items inefficiently. Excuse me. So I'm learning about his hand still. I'm feeling like, okay, he's still just suffering through a brutal hand. Like, both of his medics are buried somewhere deep in his deck. So I'm getting really, really lucky. Unfortunately, I'm kind of like out of units on the board. Like, I've got a Shaman, I've got a Witch. My hand's kind of crappy. Like, I got an Axe Thrower, I got a Shaman, but, you know, that's not much offense. So I'm going to need to throw on the brakes a little bit and kind of develop up my army again. So that's exactly what I do. This demo man is scaring me a little bit because he could come up to the sword tile and rain a lot of havoc. So I'd like to get this Xer up here to discourage him from doing that. The downside with his positioning is I am potentially allowing him to move the Pyro up here to the sword tile and trading for the Axe Thrower, basically at the cost of suiciding the Pyro. But at this point, he's lost so many units this far, and he's already burned a respawn token, that a 1-for-1 trade, unit-wise, is going to be in my favor. So I'm willing to let him do that if he thinks that he wants to pull that off. And I'm also turning 2 cards here. I'm really hoping that I get a Chieftain or something like that, because Chieftains are awesome on this map. But I don't. I get a Spike Shield and another Witch. But you know, it's more units. At least my hand just isn't totally clogged up with items, so I'm able to continue to develop my army next turn. And he decides to take that trade. And so, in retrospect, this makes sense for him, because based on the way he's playing this, he doesn't have any medics. So any move that buys time and allows him to turn more cards is probably one that he'll take, as long as he's trading more or less evenly. And he is trading more or less evenly in this scenario. He stomps, and then he uses that to move his demo man closer to the attack tile, and then he spawns a scout, which turns another card. So you can see, again, he's trying to turn cards, so I know he still hasn't drawn that medic. The nice thing about this is that I drew this Witch here, and yeah, all my units are raged, but any unit that you deploy doesn't start out with rage, and therefore when you attack with that unit, it doesn't cancel the rage and all these guys. So he was probably hoping that I would have to burn down this pyro with one of these raged units. But instead, what I can do is I can bring this witch out, and I can attack this pyro 4 times. And there's no way that he's going to be able to heal it. He's way over on my side of the map. But this way, I'll either force him to use another respawn token, but more importantly, I'm preserving this rage so that if he takes this this sword tile here, especially with like the demo man, then I'm going to be able to meet on one of these witches and then just blow him up in one shot. And I draw a chieftain, so that's awesome. Been waiting for this chieftain. It's time for some offense for me, so that's a good thing to have on the board. So this is an interesting follow-up for him. So he's moving up the sniper very aggressively, mostly to meat shield for this demo man, presumably. He spawns a warrior, not a warrior, a soldier, and brings him up here. He moves the scout to the gem tile. And to me, this looks like he might be setting up to try and crystal kill. The way he's positioned, he's threatening a bunch of things. He's threatening the soldier to come here and here, and then do a bunch of damage on my back tile here. He's also threatening the demo man to go onto this attack tile here and threaten this crystal. Or he could go 1, 2, 3, and hit both gem tiles, and hit my back crystal from here. So he's got a number of threats that are popping up, and it's important to respond to these threats because crystal kills on this map can get out of control very quickly. With the speed tile, you can get units across the map and into your opponent's area very fast, more so than in other maps, so crystal kills become very dangerous, even though I'm pretty decidedly ahead by this point based on the way the unit trades have gone. So I need to take this very seriously. So what do you do if you think that a crystal kill is coming? The number one most important thing that you need to do is get units onto the board and get upgrades onto the board. You don't have time to hold back on your items, because if you hold back, it might be too late by the time that you get them on the board. But if you take it seriously from the beginning, you're going to be able to meet the crystal kill threat with the maximum strength that you possess, and you'll stand the best chance of shutting him down. Because crystal kills are all in, you don't necessarily need to be efficient, because he's going to be suiciding his units. So you're going to get a huge unit lead pretty much no matter what. You just got to keep your crystals alive at whatever cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this chieftain on the board. And another thing I do is I kind of pop this sniper. The reason I want to pop the sniper is because if I hit the sniper, it resets his damage bonus for the next turn, and that'll prevent him from hitting this witch. If he hits this witch, then I might have to heal the witch, and both of my healers right now are raged, so I'd really like to avoid having to lose the rage to have to heal that witch. That'd be pretty lame. So I also kind of want to encourage him to try the crystal kill. With all these items that I have in my hand right now, with the tidal wave, with the 2 tidal waves, with the meat, with a sworded chieftain, I'm pretty confident that I can hold it off. And if he commits to it, then there's no way that he's gonna be able to pull it. He's gonna be able to pull off like a miracle KO comeback. So I kind of want to encourage him a little bit. So I'm leaving the possibility of the soldier coming close. Like I'm not moving the chieftain to block the crystal. I'm kind of inviting him in a little bit to see if he's going to commit to it. But I'm definitely prepared. I've got the chieftain sorted. He's ready to kick some butt. I can always meet one of these witches that are raged to one-shot a unit that gets close by. Basically, I'm saying, hey, if you want a crystal kill, then bring it on. and I draw a witch and a warrior. And so that's exactly what he does. He brings it. So now the crystal race is on. Brings up the soldier, brings up again, and 3 shots on this back crystal here. So now I need to engage all of my offense. I know the threat's real, so he's going to go all in for it, because you can't just like throw away units and then back out of the crystal kill. It's way too late in the game to do that. Like maybe if it was early in the game, and we hadn't, neither of us had lost many units, maybe you could like try and back out of it if it starts to lose steam. But at this point in the game, like he's just going to be deploying units and throwing them at my crystals as fast as possible. So I need to clean up those units as fast as possible. So I take out the soldier and I stomp him. And really what I want to do is I want to get this chieftain onto this square here. Because when he's on that square, he's going to be able to move pretty much wherever he wants. And he's going to be able to blow up a ton of units with Tidal Wave and with me. And I'm also deploying a warrior. I'm not sure why I did that. I think I might have just wanted to turn another card. I'm not sure what I was searching for, though. But anyway, I'm expecting him to do one of two things. I'm expecting him to either bring the demo man here and take 4 shots on this crystal from the attack tile. Excuse me. Or I'm expecting him to go down here, and then take 2 shots on this crystal with both gems. I drew Shannon. That's exactly what he does. So he brings it to here, and now this back crystal is almost toast. But keep in mind that though this back crystal is almost toast, like look at his units on the board. Once I kill his demo man, these are not good crystal killing units, so I'm going to get a reprieve here a little bit from his assault. Once this demo man dies, he's not going to be able to sustain this. And even though my back crystal is like nearly dead, I will have basically a turn to set up a defense around this crystal and start burning these upgrades to make sure that he doesn't get anywhere near this guy. So even though, yeah, like he's probably going to get this back crystal pretty soon, it's okay because I'm going to have time to set up the defense on this one. And I responded appropriately from the beginning. And it's really, really important to not be caught off guard when these crystal rushes happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my chieftain there. And Tidal Wave. I'm going to meet. And I'm going to explode everything. So, like I said earlier, in a crystal rush, you need to do damage and you need to do it fast. It's not the time for efficiency. It's not the time to get cute. You got to blow up units and you got to blow them up quickly. This does a bunch of damage to the scout. It also pulls him off the gem tile. So if he wants to keep a unit on this gem tile, then he's going to have to spend another AP, probably moving the spy up. And also kills the sniper, which is another unit off the board. Takes care of the demo man as well. And by the way, I preserved the rage. So I'm getting a lot done here. Even though by the merits, I'm spending a wave and a meat to kill a sniper and a demo man, which on its face isn't really the greatest trade, but it's a crystal kill, so things need to die and things need to die quickly. And so what he does is he's going to move the spy here, and he's going to move the scout, and he's going to take a few whacks at the back crystal. Because with the gem tile, the scout will do 400 damage a pop to the crystal, and that is enough in this scenario to take care of my back crystal. But my warrior is in an aggressive position here, and he's only got like 2 units left on the board. And one of them is about to die because I'm going to kill this spy with the chieftain this turn. So I'm going to get a reprieve once this spy dies, where he's going to have to spend a bunch of AP putting more units on the board. And in that turn, I need to set myself up to fortify this position so that he can't get close enough to deal the damage necessary with the remaining units that he has, which isn't that huge of an army size that he has remaining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up. I'm going to take 3 shots at the spy, and then I'm going to shield the chieftain. Now, why would I shield the chieftain? Like, that seems kind of like an odd move. The problem is that my chieftain was at 900 HP, and if he had deployed a pyro and then moved him here and then done 3 shots on this chieftain, he could have died, and it would have taken me, it would have been difficult to heal, and I could have potentially lost that chieftain. And right now this chieftain, because it's in such an aggressive position, I really need him to be up here, because any units he's going to deploy are going to be like really worried about the chieftain like blowing him up, because he's just so close. So I need him to be alive. And with this spike shield, that raises his HP to 1,000, which means that he's not going to be able to do damage to this. Or he's able to do damage, but he's not going to be able to hurt this chieftain enough to KO him. Notice that I'm leaving this scout alive. Keeping this chieftain alive is much more important than killing this scout. If he doesn't have any units on the gem tiles, this scout can't hurt me. He can't do any damage to this crystal because he's only going to do 100. So I can kill this guy whenever I want. He's only got 100 HP. This chieftain is way, 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 way more important to my plans right now. Let's see, what did I draw? I drew another spike shield. All right, whoop-de-doo. So this is an interesting move. He sends out another engineer and then hits my chieftain a bunch. And this was kind of confusing. Like, why would you send out another engineer? Like, you're suiciding your other engineer now. So this is like reeks of desperation. Like, and the only thing I can think of is that he either still didn't have any medics, or I believe at this point you only had like 1 or 2 more cards left, so it's likely that he would have a medic. But he probably had his last Jarate buried, because the only way he's going to kill that chieftain is with a Jarate, because that chieftain has like 1100 HP, and it's not going to die unless he has like a bunch of units out on the board already, and he doesn't. So the engineer, I think, is supposed to buy time for him to draw that Jarate. And I think this was like, he's down to 6 cards now, so he's guaranteed to have it. But I don't think he was... I think this was a mistake on his part, because what I can do is the spike shield brought him down below 650. And so it was actually below 750 is the threshold that matters. So I move my shaman here and here. And because of the rage and because of the attack tile, the shaman does 450, and then the next attack does 300. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and kill the engineer, and then I heal the chieftain for 600. Because the shaman is on this attack tile, and he's back up to 1,000. So basically, he just lost this engineer for free, and my chieftain is back up to where he was before this turn, and my shaman is now on this attack tile, so I have great position to keep him alive. So this was really a disastrous turn for him, and I think that was a pretty big oversight, missing the possibility of that shaman coming up, because ultimately his move didn't really accomplish that much, and it gave me an extra turn to get better position with that shaman. So what he's going to do is he's going to bring the heavy forward, but out of range of the attack tile, and he's going to bring the demo man up here. So obviously he's going to try to take advantage of the demo man being able to go to this square here, and potentially bring the heavy here, the scout here, and then having both gem tiles and doing a bunch of damage to my crystal. The nice thing is that my position is very far advanced. I think he also took a pot shot on my chieftain with this heavy. But regardless, my chieftain can go here, and he can use the meat. And he's going to be able to hit both of these guys. And when you're in a crystal kill situation, you might as well not hold on to those items, because if he kills your crystals and you had them left and you had the chance to use them, you're going to feel pretty stupid. So, yep, meat, explosions. And both of these guys get KO'd. And now, by the way, this chieftain's back up to full HP. But he is within range of this deploy tile here. So he is threatened, and now he definitely has the Gerati, so I may be losing this chieftain, but he's done enough. He's killed the demo man, he's killed the last heavy. If he forces out a Gerati, fine. I've got a bunch of units on the board, and I've got a shaman in a very aggressive position here. So I bought time where if I lose him by the jar, then I lose him. And I draw an axe thrower. So he respawns the demo man, because he's going to need the demo man. Demo man's do extra damage to crystals, and he's all in on the crystals, so he needs every bit of damage he can get. So that's a wise use of the last respawn token. He needs that unit. He's going to deploy the pyro. He's going to Gerati on the chieftain. He's going to kill him, and then he's going to move up with the pyro. So alas, my chieftain's gone. That stinks. I'm not going to be able to like camp his deployed units any longer. But I mean, he did a bunch of damage, and he delayed this crystal rush a bunch, and he killed a lot of units. So he did his job. Now it's time for the remainder of my units to finish things for me. So this pyro needs to die. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't lost really any units for a long time. I've got this shaman, I've got this shaman, and I've got this shaman. Now I said earlier that you don't want to trade away your shamans in the earlier mid game, because they're really, really important. But in a situation like this, in the end game, where he's not going for a TKO win, this third shaman is totally expendable. I can get down to 2 and even 1, and as long as I get value for the shamans, it's going to be good for me. So I'm going to send the shaman up, and I'm going to kill that pyro. And not only do I take his pyro off the board, but he's going to have to spend AP with whatever unit he deploys here to kill the freaking shaman. And AP spent on killing the shaman is AP that is not spent on killing the crystal. So this is great. Trading 1 for 1. Oh, and I also killed the scout. So he actually has no units on the board now. But trading 1 for 1 in a crystal kill situation is good, because he's not taking shots at your crystal. So I feel pretty confident at this point. But this is how he follows it up. So he deploys a soldier, which is last soldier, last 300 damage unit, and finally the medic surfaces onto the board. But he's still very, very far away. Additionally, leaving the shaman here prevents him from... he doesn't want to stomp this unit, because it'll give these units rage. So I'm actually locking down this tile with his corpse. And this is like the tile that he wants to put units on, so that he can move here and then hit this crystal. So there's a lot of subtlety to that move. And he can't move here instead, because then he's within range of this attack tile. And I do have one meat left, so doing that potentially could be suiciding the soldier. So now I don't have any units forward. I need to improve my position. So I'm going to take the sword tile. I'm going to take the speed tile, and I'm going to shield the witch. I want to get the last meat. Like, I want to... I've got one sword remaining, and I've got one meat remaining, and I need to get them because that will help me kill his units faster. Additionally, he's not really going to be able to get any momentum on my crystal if I'm holding this attack tile, because both of the gem tiles are in range of a witch here. So I'm like controlling like this whole area. So he's probably going to have to... oops. Whatever. I can't draw. It's like this, actually. Right. So I'm controlling like this whole area with the witch. And if he's going to kill this witch to be able to take these gem tiles, then he's going to do damage to his own unit from the spike shield. So that's kind of the thought process there. And unfortunately, I draw a warrior, I believe. Yeah, I draw a warrior. So I didn't get either my sword or my meat, which is unfortunate. But you draw what you draw. So now he splurges a bunch of units onto the board. He's got the demo man. He's got the soldier. And he's deployed the scout onto the gem tile. So it's not over. This crystal dies pretty fast, and he's got the units to do it. I need to take this threat seriously. The nice thing is that this sniper is within range of the witch here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the sniper 3 times. I'm going to blow him up with the corpse explosion. And what this does is it does damage to all these units here, especially the scout, which is on this this tile here. Right? He's on here, and when this guy takes damage, he moves. He gets scared and he moves away from the unit that dealt the damage, which in this case is the witch. Even though this guy was the one who took the damage, the game thinks that it's coming from this square. So he moves back here. And that means he's going to have to spend an extra AP retaking this gem tile if he wants to do damage to this crystal. And for good measure, I move my warrior on here, saying that, hey, if you want to take this tile back, you're going to have to spend another AP in order to gain access to that gem tile so that you can do damage to my crystal. So I'm just trying to make it as slow, as painful as possible for him to get set up so that he can nibble away at my crystal. And it's been like 12 or 13 turns since he killed this back crystal, and this crystal is still untouched. So I've done a really, really good job so far. Unfortunately, he takes a soldier and he attacks my my warrior and knocks him back here. He then brings the scout onto the gem tile, and he moves forward and he takes some pot shots. So that's disappointing, but I've still got my witch on the attack tile. So it's just a matter... I just don't think he has enough units. Like these are like basically his only 2 last offensive units. He's got another medic, but that's it. Like other than the medic, like these are the only units he has remaining. And this is still at about like 80% life. Roughly maybe like 3,200 HP. So he's got a ways to go still, and not a lot of units to do it with. I've got this tidal wave. I need to use it. And so what I want to do is 2 things. I want to get this scout off of the gem tile again, so he has to spend another AP bringing him back on, which is 1 less AP that he's attacking my crystals. And I want to bring this... I'm going to bring this soldier forward. Because that way there's no way that like he could move and then have like a medic come up and then heal, and then like take another like few shots at the crystal. Don't even want to deal with that, so I'm just gonna pull him forward, and then also I deploy an axe thrower. I move the axe thrower up, and the axe thrower does 400, and the witch does 300. And because of the corpse explosion last turn, the soldier only has like 650 health, I think. So that allows me to turn 2 more cards, which is going to hopefully get me my last sword, and it's going to get me my last meat. I suppose there's not a 100% chance of that, but that's the goal, is to get to those items as quickly as possible. And also, if I kill this this demo man, this is another unit that I can kind of turtle around the crystal. I don't think it's going to come to that, but this demo man is the only unit that can shoot over my units. If I could take him out, then all I have to do is put units in this area, and as long as they don't die, there's no way he'll be ever able to do damage to my crystal. So that's kind of like the fail-safe plan to preventing that crystal from dying, and that gets me one step safer, and one step closer to that defense. And I get chieftain, I get a sword, so I don't get the meat, but at least I got the sword. Not too much to complain about. It's just bad luck, I suppose. So he moves the scout up. He moves the demo man over and up, and he takes 2 shots at this crystal. So now I'm down to 23% total, which is, it's roughly like 50% of this crystal. So it's down to like 2100 health roughly on this crystal, which is pretty low. But the good news is that this demo man's going to die, and with the demo man dead, all he's got left is he's got the scout, and he's got 2 medics. So I'm feeling good here. It's just not, without the medics on the board and in good position, it's just not enough to take out this crystal with this much life left. So I blow up the demo man. I move the scout back off, and I also sword the witch. If you're in a crystal rush situation, there's no reason to hold on to your swords. It actually doesn't cost me anything, because when I add the sword, I kill this demo man in 2 hits, but without the sword, I kill it in 3. So swording the witch is free. So it's a free way to get more offense on the board. So why wouldn't you do it? It's very important to not be stingy with those upgrades when you're in this speed situation. But yeah, always knocking the scout back off forces him to spend another AP to bring him back on. This one less AP can be doing damage to my crystal. And I finally get that last meat. So what he ends up doing is he deploys his last medic, moves this guy forward, and kills my warrior here. And so what I'm thinking is, okay, he's gonna try and he's gonna like move up, move here, move up, and then like take 2 shots at the crystal that way with the medic. But fortunately, I've got this witch that is super strong, so I'm not gonna let him get away with that. So it's time to do a bunch of damage. I blow up the medic down here, which also forces the soldier back into his deploy tile. It's actually not any farther away from the gem tile, because this is still like 4 squares is still 1 move for the scout, so it doesn't really do anything, I guess, but it does damage, and that's nice, and he doesn't have any units left, so I'm still safe. But he moves back on in his final move. Brings the scout onto the gem tile, brings his medic up to take 1 final pot shot at the crystal, but from there I'm able to just attack his units. I attack the attack the medic 3 times, and I'm able to attack the scout as well. And that is all his units. And that is a GG. So so GG to TB Cask. He played. I think he played pretty well. He was really unlucky. I asked him after the game, like that if both of his medics were buried, and apparently like both of them were like some of the last three or four cards. And it's just a really difficult situation when you don't get any healing as Team Fortress. So that was really unfortunate. And my draw was pretty good, and I was able to exploit it. And even then, despite all that, he did get pretty close to pulling it off. Like that last crystal was down to 70%. And if he had, decided to go for the crystal kill from like the very start, it's entirely possible that he could have made up that difference from there. But instead, I was able to hold on to the last slivers of life of my crystal and pull out the victory. And it had 1550 health left in the end. So that's the conclusion of the ducksuitgaming.com tournament. Yeah, so I'll put that on YouTube. Big thanks again to ducksuitgaming.com for putting on the tournament. It was a lot of fun to play with. Enjoyed chatting with all you guys, and hope you guys hang around and still play the game every now and then, even though the tournament's over. And hopefully everybody learned a thing or two playing against some friends and some good competition from some guys on the main board as well. And without further ado, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we're going to jump into some games. So I know everybody's been waiting for that. So let me grab a drink really quick, and then we'll get into the main part of the show. So see you in about 5 minutes.